Welcome everyone to Daily Hope. We are in 1 Peter chapters 4 and 5. I have a great verse for you. Coming from chapter 5, verse 2, Peter writes, "Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, watching over them, not because you must, but because you're willing, as God wants you to be. Not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock." I love this passage because first, it speaks to God's quality of leadership over our life. And secondly, it shows us the kind of leaders we ought to be with those entrusted to our care. Let's start with God. This idea, this imagery of a shepherd is a dominant metaphor to describe God's leadership in our life. I think of Psalm 23 when David wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I have all that I need. He makes me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength." This imagery of a shepherd, it captures both the strength of God and his gentleness, his strength to protect us from the lion, the wolf, the bear, and the bandit. But it also speaks to his gentleness, his ability to guide us and care for us, to bind us up in our weakness, and to lead us beside peaceful streams. Jesus takes up this metaphor in the Gospel of John when he says, "I am the good shepherd, and when the thief breaks in to steal the sheep, I don't run, I stand my ground." And it speaks to his resolve and commitment to stand between us and death itself, where we see his strength, his ability to overcome death itself, rising from the dead, and his gentleness, his readiness to meet us in our deepest sin and our greatest brokenness, to heal us and forgive us. Oh, it's such a rich imagery that Jesus wants us to think of his role as shepherd in our life as we consider our leadership and influence with those entrusted to our care. Who has God put into your care? For me, I think of my role as a pastor in our church, and I think of the kind of humility that God's asked me to have in leading our church. I got to tell you, church, you make it easy. I love leading and pastoring this church. There's just nothing else I would rather be doing with my time than I'm doing right now pastoring our church. This passage reminds me that I'm not in it for my own glory. When I get frustrated, to double down on patience and to persevere in prayer. And to remember that my attitude towards the church has to be the attitude of Christ towards the church. And that's true for all of those that God's put under our care, whether it's our children, whether it's those that report to us in the office, or the kids in the classroom that we teach, or the friends that God has entrusted to us. Because even those friends are people that God has put under our care and under our influence. And there's a gentleness that God's called us to have, a humility to be a servant to those that God has put under our care. And secondly, a strength, a conviction that we're there to represent Christ to them. And so I want to encourage you today, where has Jesus put people under your care? And where is he calling you to be a servant, to be gentle, and to lead and influence with conviction this week? God bless you. And remember, the Lord is your shepherd, in whom you have all that you need. Have a great week.